evening, everybody. I'm Mr. Panda.
And I'm Rockstar.
And this is the Manly Battleships YouTube channel where we're hosting Last Week in Geek, the video podcast where we cover everything important from last week in Geek. We'll see you at a con sometime in September, we hope. Remarking any further upon it is just going to depress everyone, so we're going to dive right into new media. If you're a fan of animation history, there's an exciting new documentary coming up about Floyd Norman, the original African-American hired by Walt Disney who worked in the animation department and remained a creative force on many of your favorite Disney and Pixar movies. Floyd Norman, An Animated Life, streamed live for free for one day on TMC. Regular availability for you to actually watch it now that it's been publicized. However, the details are still a little murky on that. We'll get back to you if we ever find that out.
Very creative advertising.
A Hufflepuff advertised this.
I'm offended. A Hufflepuff would have actually...
You're right, a Hufflepuff would have just thrown PR in your face even like a year after the fact. A Slytherin advertised this.
If you're still watching that car crash of a show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're finally on the final season. And it's going to be even more of a car crash because all of you fans hoping to get acknowledgement for the Thanos snap are not going to get it, as we're going to get another time travel story, this time to the 1930s. So, fuck us, right? I don't know why we even bother. And by the way, if you go to the link down there, I will warn you, if you don't want to be spoiled any further on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., don't click it because they have 2 spoilers right in the title. Because, you know, that's what we want.
Do you own a VR set? Do you like anime? In a collaboration with Big Screen, Funimation is launching a new initiative where they're showing 30 anime films. For $3.99, you can access these in VR on Fridays at 6 p.m. Starting literally this past Friday, you're able to go in VR after paying the fee and actually watch these films every Friday at 6 p.m. They just did Your Name this past Friday, and if you go down to the link below, you can see the full schedule about what's coming up.
June of this year is going to see the return of DreamWorks' Kupo and the Wonder Beasts on Netflix. And if you haven't actually been able to catch up on this show, Season 1 is streaming every weekend with the showrunners and the writers, and they'll be doing a Q&A during the Netflix watch parties. So that's something to do with your weekends, too.
I've never heard of this show. This is a first. I've literally never heard of this show.
Yeah, it's on Season 2 now.
Why do you make it sound like we should know what this is? I have no idea what this show is.
To be fair, I said if you haven't watched Season 1, you can go do it. So I don't expect our fans to know about this show, but some people might.
Is it better than The Dragon Prince?
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
She-Ra and the Princesses of Power has dropped the trailer for the final season. I don't know what number it is. Neither does Rockstar. Because we stopped following the show. You might still be interested in it, and the girl power, and the, subservient male characters, or whatever, is going on in that show right now. I don't know.
When did they get male slaves?
I don't know. I mean, I think that, what's his name? Green Arrow, or whatever his name. Whatever number season this is, it will consist of 13 episodes, and those will be available on Netflix May 15th. She-Ra and her Slaves of Power. Oh, She-Ra and the Slaves of Duty. It's like the Sorcerer. It's literally the Sorcerer and the Slave of Duty. The Sorcerer or the Slave of Duty. It's Gilbert and Sullivan.
Are you saying duty? With a T?
She said duty. Lick my boot, slave. For the honor of Grayskull.
There's a new featurette for Rick and Morty, and it's all about the animators talking about how many difficulties they've encountered animating the show. Now, thankfully, this means we should have episodes out by now. So go watch Rick and Morty. What? They dropped May 3rd, which means they're out by now.
The featurette is going to be bitching about how fans keep bitching. That's what it's going to be about.
Not literally.
I just want there to be an episode dedicated to being meta and talking about how whiny bitches didn't get their Szechuan sauce.
I'm driven by finding that McNugget sauce. I want that Mulan McNugget sauce, Morty.
That's what I want.
It's really funny you bring that up, because I had a gripe. The same gripe I always have when doing Last Week in Geek, which is somehow these big name companies get their hands on episodes months or weeks in advance, and they will spoil review. And somebody's critique of the most recent Rick and Morty episode was too meta.
I think it'll be great, Morty. You know, it could be developed into a very satisfying project for people of all ages.
Fantastic. A new show is coming to Hulu from the makers of Robot Chicken, and it's everything you could possibly want in a show that's basically adapted from the Little People toys. You know, those little peg guys with like single chute that you can just stick everywhere and put on things and stick in little vehicles.
You know,
Except
the preschool toys.
This is in a medieval setting, and it's very adult. Like, think cock and balls adult.
I mean, I'd expect nothing less from the creators of Robot Chicken, but still.
I want to see what the torture dungeon looks like in this universe.
Yeah, that's where the cock and balls come out.
Yeah, not so, my dear. Let me some more. Harder! Harder!
All episodes for this first season is going to drop on June 12th.
We have literally gotten very little information on Space Jam 2 other than...
It won't feature Kobe Bryant.
Other than it's happening. But we have a new logo and a title, which is apparently going to be called Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Disney seems set to bring all your childhood favorites from the animation world forward into the modern live-action sequence, aka the trash bin. But the next project that's going to be put up is Hercules. Yes, that Hercules. Not Hercules versus the Martians, not Hercules versus God, or whatever the heck other B-movie from the 60s you're thinking of. No, it's just going to be Hercules, but brought into the live-action world. The only thing confirmed that we have on this is that the Russo brothers are going to be overseeing the project. There's at least a couple people saying that Danny DeVito has agreed to come back as Phil, but we have not been able to confirm that as of time of this recording. All I can see is a bunch of blowback about racism and gospel singing. How dare you have black people in the Greek era singing gospel music?
Maybe they'll just go the Mulan route and just
get rid of all the music! Why be culturally sensitive when you can just remove the culture altogether?
You may have heard that we got the next game in the Assassin's Creed series, Assassin's Creed Valhalla! And Ubisoft is boasting all sorts of new features, as well as, like, I don't know, they're gonna have a whole Viking village that you can control, and all this, like, you can really immerse yourself in the culture, and some other features that we'll discuss later in news.
Hear that? Sounds of the whispering winds of shit.
It's currently on pre-order for PCs and current-gen consoles and will be available holiday of 2020.
Draw a blood eagle on someone's back. After being placed on indefinite hiatus, The Last of Us Part 2 finally has a release date. It's going to be June 19th. Unfortunately, for the makers of The Last of Us Part 2, some elements of the game have already been leaked into general circulation, which has caused a controversy that we'll be discussing in the regular news portion very shortly.
Hear that? Sounds of the whispering winds of shit.
If you're looking for more sporting/esport hybrid events, Facebook Gaming has actually an event for you called Stay at Home Slam. It's going to feature famous tennis players and celebs doing Mario Tennis Aces doubles tournament with John McEnroe and iJustine commentating on it.
Because the one thing we needed in our lives was to have actual sports players play video games for our entertainment. We're that much closer to a world in which that weird Hugh Jackman movie based off of Rock'em Sock'em Robots, not actually based off of Rock'em Sock'em Robots, but you know the one I mean. It's where Huge Jackman is Huge Jackman is a washed-up boxer because this new sport emerged where people just guide robots to box. So then he finds this random robot in the dumpster and turns it into a boxing robot.
It sounds like Chobits mixed with boxing.
Chobits and Rocky. Rock Bits. Chokey. Actually, I like Rock Bits a little bit better.
I like Rock Bits.
Chokey, a true underdog story. I changed my mind. Chokey is the winner of the Improvised Title Award of 2020.
At the time of this recording, the live stream will already be over, but you can still catch a replay on the Facebook page. And I recommend using the browser because the app won't let you view already recorded live streams because it's weird like that.
Just another move from the Facebook.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week. This is where we tell you about the meme of the week.
It feels like no matter how hard the internet wants this to happen, Alex Jones will just never go away. He will just continue to operate in this weird, ambiguous pool of the internet, providing meme fodder for generations to come. And can we really fault him for that when he gives us gold like this? Because when you run out of your favorite thing, the next thing you should do is definitely eat your neighbors. Just like that video game, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. And its exciting sequel, Alex Jones Ate My Neighbors. Someone needs to Photoshop this.
I would really love to see fan art of Alex Jones Ate My Neighbors.
I would like to see a legit fan art. I would like to see I will pay for a legit port of Alex Jones Ate My Neighbors. If you come up with that, man, like, kickstart it. I'll fund that.
I will too. Seriously.
Now we kick over to the real news. We've been talking a lot about theaters and the evolution of movie distribution in the age of COVID-19. But there's a new controversy brewing in the industry between major theater holders and Universal Pictures. Universal Pictures announced that they made more money in 3 weeks for video on demand of the latest installment of the Trolls series than they did in 5 months for the first Trolls movie. That is a huge development from an industry perspective. And it has made them decide that in the future, they're going to release video-on-demand versions of their theater movies while they're in the theaters. This has not sat well with a number of major chains. Immediately, there was backlash from AMC. The CEO announced that they would no longer release Universal Picture movies in their theaters from this point forward. The National Association of Theater Owners, or NATO, not that NATO, but our NATO here in the States, immediately followed up from AMC's statement by saying that Universal betrayed the theatrical window and their exhibiting partners.
That was mostly due to basically making a move without talking to anyone first, so they were really upset about that.
This was followed by another statement from Cineworld, the owner of the Regal Theater line, which stated that Universal's move was completely inappropriate and certainly has nothing to do with good faith business practice, partnership, and transparency. Regal has also joined AMC in declaring that they will not release any more movies from Universal Pictures.
Now, this hasn't gone without Universal clapping back, and they stated that they do believe in the theatrical experience, and again reminded everyone that it's going to be both theatrical and video on demand release simultaneously.
Now, there's 2 different aspects to this entire discussion. The first is digital distribution is becoming more and more the norm, and honestly, it actually surprised me that something like this hadn't come up sooner. It probably was just waiting for the prime opportunity to be tested out, and of course, what better time than when theaters literally can't be open, so let's see what happens. Whether or not this kind of business model would, in fact, have a lot of staying power after COVID-19 is up for debate, but from the sounds of both the industry perspective and from what health officials have said, this, in fact, could be the way that things go forward, just because theaters might have to deal with things like reduced capacity for a long time to come.
Well, not only that, but I think Game Theory did a really good response to what's going on. So one of the things that I really think is going to happen, I think it's actually going to be sustainable, mostly because Trolls World Tour was a kids movie, and families have the hardest time going to the theater. Now, I myself don't have kids yet, so going to the theater really doesn't cost me that much money. It's the price of the ticket and maybe snacks if I don't sneak some in. But
we would never sneak snacks into a theater.
But if you think about it, just take the average nuclear family into account, and that's 4 tickets, plus your kids are going to want snacks and a candy and a drink, and then it can be up to $100. If you want to spend $100 on one movie experience versus $20 and you can just pop your own popcorn and drink whatever the hell you want, I mean, I think families are going to choose to rather do that at home.
Which means the theater experience might be reduced to date night movies and to weeaboos.
I can see a family doing it once in a great while just to introduce their kids to the cinema experience, but there's no way they're dropping $100 to watch every Marvel movie.
As many of you know, I personally have a scathing opinion about digital distribution of movies in general. I mean, it's the way that things are going to go eventually, no matter what. But whether or not it has to supplant the entirety of the theater movie experience, I don't know. Like, I still go to the theater myself, not as often as I might have when I was younger, but I still go. And I think that at minimum, it's just a reflection of a general trend towards digital everything, which I definitely am very suspicious of. I never buy digital movies at all. Maybe it is specifically for movies like Trolls, especially when you're dealing with, like, family-oriented sequels that aren't necessarily the greatest moneymakers in the world, depending on which series franchise you're talking about. I could see a lot of potential for that appealing to this kind of distribution because, yeah, what's 4 tickets at $10 or more average for the theater when you could just pay half that and watch it on your big screen at TV at home, which, you know, is now an affordable consumer product. I don't think this spells the end for the theater experience any more than I think the original television did. And, you know, there's always like this big industry panic whenever something new and exciting comes out. But just like home 3D theater never really took off, I don't expect that any of that will supplant the theater experience entirely. Though I'm also not blaming AMC and Regal for feeling like Universal made a dick move since they didn't even talk to them.
Well, yeah, there definitely needed to be a lot more discussion, especially because, like, theaters still need a window where they can be exclusive to getting the profit, and there could have been conversations about, okay, maybe we take 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe, you know, even a whole month where you get it, and then we release it on video on demand, and then that way you can decide whether or not you want to keep it after that month. But without a discussion, it's just kind of cutting out one of the partners. Yeah, I mean, you have to work with the theaters in order for this to work. So as we've been announcing, many console and gaming services have been offering a whole bunch of free games, and that includes the Epic Game Store. With a little bit of a twist for the Epic Game Store, as they're now requiring you to do 2-factor authentication before you download your free games. They're citing a whole bunch of security reasons. Okay. I don't know what else to say about that. But
nothing wrong with that, I guess. That's fine. Whatever. No, it's a move by Epic to get into your computer and steal all your data. As we mentioned in new media, The Last of Us Part 2 is finally coming out. But that hasn't stopped at least one person somewhere in the chain from leaking huge elements of the plot, of cutscenes, and gameplay for The Last of Us Part 2. A good portion of the game was spoiled on YouTube by some anonymous contributor. It's been speculated that this was an employee of Sony. However, Sony has subsequently come out with a statement saying that they have figured out who it was, not an affiliate of Sony or of Naughty Dog. What you do need to know is that not everyone is happy about what they have released.
Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot. Even Angry Joe recently put out a video about how angry he was.
But Angry Joe is angry about everything.
Yes, this is true.
I haven't read up on it at all because I actually never got around to playing the original game. But from the sounds of it, it could very well be a train wreck.
A lot of the employees were like, please don't judge us based off of the leaks. There are a lot of things surrounding the plot that were not leaked that make the plot good. But again, I haven't played The Last of Us. I definitely didn't want to go looking for the leaks because I haven't played the first one. I don't want to be spoiled for the second part. So, yeah, here I am.
You know, the writer for the original The Last of Us left the company, and I've been led to believe that that has something to do with the direction that this new game has gone in. You know, after you let your creative force go, of course, things are not going to be as good.
Mass Effect.
Ha ha!
Riot Games has come under fire due to their controversial anti-cheat system called Vanguard. Vanguard was put into place for anti-cheating methods on their new beta game, Valorant, which is controversial because it's on the kernel level of your system.
For those of you unversed in PC Master Race, that means that it's basically giving you ultimate control over the computer.
At first, the main controversy was because Vanguard would be on your system, totally on and aware 24/7, regardless of whether or not you were actually playing Valorant. Because of this first backlash, Riot Games made it so that you could uninstall Vanguard, but the problem was that when you went into Valorant again, it would automatically download and force you to restart the computer before you could play the video game again.
How helpful.
And that's not even the end of the controversy, because really, at the end of the day, a whole bunch of Valorant players have shown Riot Games that they can actually still cheat despite Vanguard being present. So they basically bypassed your anti-cheat. So Riot Games has put in a bug bounty for any of those hackers skilled enough to actually break into it. If you break into it and report it to Riot Games, you will actually receive a lump sum of money that's undetermined at this point, so that Riot Games can fix it in a few hours.
We've come a long way since having to deal with sexual harassment at League of Legends. That's not the only controversy facing Valorant this week. This next one has to do with Valorant and Twitch. There's been a new initiative called the Drops Program, which rewards viewers who go onto Valorant streams by spontaneously dropping beta keys for them to access the game. This happens every couple of hours during the stream going live. Some streamers have decided to capitalize on this by stitching together non-live footage with actual live footage on their live stream in order to make their stream essentially run 24/7, therefore upping the reason that you would want to tune into their stream. Twitch has attempted to address this by revising the rules surrounding the program to address the whole 24/7 live stream. But if you actually read the rules, it technically doesn't actually ban 24/7 live streams. It's been kept very vague, and it's not entirely clear how this will impact people who have been doing this.
I mean, literally the only thing that the rule says is we prohibit cheating on the drop system. And it's like, thanks, Twitch. Cool. But
Cool story, bro.
I mean, users are actually happy with this change, despite the fact that it doesn't really forbid 24/7 live streams. So I'm very confused as to what's happening over there, Twitch. You know, it's funny that you previously mentioned sexism and League of Legends there, because we're not done with the Valorant controversies, as this time it has to do with the actual sexism. One of the Riot Games employees recently uploaded to her Twitter a video showing outright sexism to her playing Valorant on solo mode. The employee, who goes by her handle Greenlee, mentioned that the harassment contained in that clip was not the only time she had been harassed. She had been harassed multiple times and frequently mutes the players, including the player in said clip, and usually just keeps quiet whenever the harassment starts because it seems to lessen the problem. The story continues as the executive producer of Valorant, Anna Donlin, replied to Greenlee stating that she actually can't play solo on Valorant either due to similar issues. She later responded officially on Riot Games' behalf, stating that they are trying to do things to lessen the harassment, such as nonverbal commands and the ping system, and other long-term solutions that remain vague for the sake of remaining vague.
She was incredibly vague.
She continued saying that she wants all the players of Valorant to feel safe while playing the video game. I have lots to say about this because there is a part of her thing that I can't tell if it's supposed to be nuanced, sarcasm, or what, because it was just in text form, not a video, but it sounded like she was insinuating that players who get harassed kind of ask for the harassment. And as a female gamer who has never asked to be harassed while playing a video game, that's kind of sexist. But, you know, I will take her at the fact that she probably meant it in a sarcastic tone to all those men who think women do ask for the harassment.
Well, she put, like, quotes around it or something, right?
She did, but that really...
Quotes mean sarcasm.
It's text form. I can't tell if it was meant to be sarcasm.
Oh, she was asking for it.
That's not what she... What she said is players have to protect themselves from... or not put themselves into harm's way for harassment. I don't know. It just bothers me. But, you know, then again, there are other games where people just harass women for the sake of being on that game. Like, that's why I won't play The Crew anymore.
Because even talking to a woman is now completely off limits. Isn't that right, Nish?
No!
No, it's not, Nish, but it's fun to pretend to be confused about that, isn't it?
Finally moving away from Valorant, but not from sexism. We have another area of controversy regarding sexism and video games, this one at Ubisoft. Ubisoft is attempting to head off at the pass a prior controversy that came up during Battlefield 5. That was featuring female characters in the context of, you know, World War II battle simulation, which, you know, for some people, despite well-documented presence of female people in combat situations in certain theaters of war, for some reason that just didn't sit well with some players. Whatever.
Well, to be fair, they're trying to be better than EA at least.
Yeah.
And headed off at the pass.
So Ubisoft is trying to get ahead of this by having their historian from their research team, Thierry Noël, address their thinking behind having players able to select a male or a female version of their characters. The upcoming game Assassin's Creed Valhalla, featuring Vikings and stuff. Now, if you are in the realm of history or archaeology, you might know there's some ongoing controversy as to the role of women in combat in Viking culture, more broadly speaking, Scandinavian culture. It's pretty well known that women played some role in it at different points in time, but how extensive that was and whether or not they were as well reputed as, say, their male counterparts continues to be a point of controversy. So our good friend Mr. Noel here has pointed out that what they're doing with Assassin's Creed is that they are basing their characters off of the myths and legends of Viking culture. The annals and the chronicles. And in the body of literature that they have looked at, male and female warriors are more or less represented equally in terms of their fighting prowess. That's why there's no real distinct difference between those characters in their upcoming game. Like, if we have to go through this, as a historian myself, I'm not specialized in the area of Viking culture, but, as a historian myself, I can rationalize the thought process behind this entire thing. Historical accuracy in video games has just been a thing for a while, where people are always not satisfied or completely satisfied with the direction that they go in. This feels like an adequate way to kind of, dodge a bullet, because there's no path on the issue of female warriors that ever seems to satisfy everybody. And we don't have a complete picture from an archaeological and historical sense anyway, so this is probably the best thing Ubisoft could do in this particular case.
Frankly, I just want to get to a point in video games where we can just stop trying to justify why a woman or why you can play as a woman in the video games. I get if the game is going for historical accuracy, I guess, if you want, but women have been in wars since before you think women were in wars. Women were in the Revolutionary Wars, maybe not as warriors, or even some of them as warriors who were pretending to be men. But, if you read some history books, maybe not the ones out of, your school, because school textbooks are notoriously good at omitting certain histories, you would actually know about some of the women that fought in almost every single war. And
to be completely honest, this isn't the first game I've heard of where you can just select a different gender for the same class and it doesn't affect anything. Come to think of it, it would be interesting if someone came up with a game where you got a physical penalty for being a female character. But I don't think that's ever happened. This isn't the first time this has happened, and I don't see why it's such a big deal to anybody.
You can say what you want about Battlefield, but there's even some Battlefield games where there are tanks when there never were tanks, or at least not fast-moving tanks like you can do in the game. I'm pretty sure even historically accurate games twist it a little bit just for the sake of mechanics and keeping the game fun and not tedious. Just want to get to a point where it doesn't matter what you present as or who you play as, because you're having fun in the game.
I remember a time where people were super excited to have female avatars because they wanted to look at a woman's butt the whole day in the third-person view. I don't know what the problem here is, everybody.
We want to leave you off with something lighthearted and related to Tiger King. Yeah, not our usual geeky stuff, I'm sure, but this is a treat. As you see, we've gotten a lot of interviews from a whole bunch of the cast of The Tiger King, between directors and the people who actually starred in the documentary, except for one, Carol Baskin.
Killed her husband, whacked him.
Yeah, that's exactly why she doesn't want to go on interviews. I have to hand it to these YouTubers, Josh Peters and Archie Manners, as they convinced Carol Baskin that they were Jimmy Fallon. And they convinced her to do an interview.
It reminded me of ventrilo harassment.
You think that's fucking funny? Do you fucking think I'm fucking laughing?
I've got balls of steel.
Email engagement convinced them that they're from Jimmy Fallon, and then they use Zoom to interview her, and so yeah, you won't be able to see him, but he can see you.
It's a brilliant 12-minute YouTube video. It's linked below. Give it a watch. It's so good. It's amazing. I can't believe she bought it.
As easy a purchase as the sardine oil. You're all right there.
I wonder if she's going to sue them.
So she can buy more sardine oil for number 3?
Dude, they did a whole contract and everything, so I'm wondering if they put in a clause in there where she can't sue them. But I don't know. We'll see, because apparently her lawyer was her third husband.
I like how you put that in the past tense.
Oh,
it's only a matter of time.
It is.
And that's where we're going to leave this episode, everybody. So if you're new to the channel, there is a subscribe button. Or if you've just been lazy and haven't hit it, there's a subscribe button. There's a little bell that you can hit to follow us so that whenever we post a new video, you can go ahead and pick that up. We're also on TikTok, by the way, so you should head over there and look at some of that as well. Give us a thumbs up and leave a comment below for any of the interesting stories that we covered that you would like to share your thoughts with us. And as always, I'm Mr. Panda.
And I'm Rockstar. See you next week.
Assassins. Assassin's Creed. It's all about pegging. Magnus, I want the dominatrix. It's like my shtick now. I make you look angry.